Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Abo coming to you today from Los Angeles, and we are talking with James Nicholas Kinney, the founder of Six Figure Jobs. James, thanks so much for being here. Tell us, what is Six Figure Jobs and why did you start it?
So Six Figure Jobs is a simple audio course that walks people through three modules. Number one, how to market yourself as a candidate. Number two, really understanding the technology and the platforms from LinkedIn, Indeed, etc. And then number three, of course, interview psychology and advanced tips for interviewing outside of a regular way that people would approach what we call in the HR industry a process.
And what made you want to start this? I know that you started it in May, which was during lockdown. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I started it during COVID because honestly, after 15 years of experience as an HR executive, I was heartbroken to see 20 million people out of work and then 30 million people out of work. I mean, just unprecedented, astronomical numbers of people unemployed. And when you are an HR leader, that's a gut-wrenching experience. So I've never been a person that wanted to live life on the sidelines. I wanted all people to have an opportunity to get a six-figure job because I just know that oftentimes there's a ceiling that people think and they experience, oh, I can never make that much money. So removing that veil and breaking through that glass ceiling of income, I think is important for all people, no matter who you are or where you come from. And COVID was really the catalyst for me to leap into action with my team and offer this education to people because it can be very mysterious. How do I interview for a job? It's something that everyone has done and people talk about it all the time. But the honest truth is, there is a thing that recruiters and HR people know that the general public just doesn't know.
What is your advice to people who want to be making a living, but either were furloughed or let go from their previous job or are in a position where they have to pivot completely and figure out how to share a skill set that they might have?
Well, the first is emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Don't ever let an employer or a career or a job define who you are. I think that's dangerous territory for people in general. And even when you're in a job, don't let that job be your whole life. It's important to separate your identity with who you are as a person. Number one, you'll have a diverse perspective in the workplace and likely be a leader. Number two, it allows you to think of things from an objective point of view. So number one, don't fully buy into the notion that I'm a truck driver, that's all I'll ever be. I'm a secretary, that's all I'll ever be. I'm a doctor, that's all that I'll ever be. We've never lived in a more apt time to transform and to have transformation in society and in our personal lives and in our careers. So number two, online education. I did an online culture course from Stanford in 2017. There's copious amounts of information and certifications that you can now get online from major universities to smaller universities and trade schools. So if you're in PR and you really want to go into the medical field, you can do it. If you're in the medical field and you want to get into sports and entertainment, you can do it. And oftentimes what we're looking for as employers, and me now being a coach to help people understand how to get six-figure jobs, it's how do you do that transformational period? And as an HR executive, all we're looking for is evidence that you have the skill set and that you've taken at least one position towards that, if you want to be an online marketer or whatever it is that you want to be. And then the third thing is it's how you show up and it's who you are. If you come across as a six-figure person in your ways of being, in terms of how you show up, how you speak, your confidence and that type of education, that's how it's believable. So ultimately what a hiring manager, a recruiter, or an employer is looking for is how you show up. It's far beyond what we see on paper. And oftentimes the sad thing, Jessica, is that people get trapped in this 2D thing that's black and white, a piece of paper. And all they stake their whole career on is how do I come across on this piece of paper? But I know for the people that are listening out there, you are so much more than your resume, and you are so much more than who you are on paper. So that transformational in work and the work within is really how you land that six-figure plus role.
CEOs have been coming to you and asking you how they can show up for their employees, especially during a time in our country where communities feel like they are eroding. So talk to us a little bit about the work you're currently doing parallel to six-figure jobs.
Yeah, so coming out of COVID and then experiencing what happened to Mr. Floyd, where we are as a nation, there's never been a more important time for Black people, for women, for people of color to have that opportunity to create economic choice and economic freedom. When you really look at America, America is built on vocation. America is built on jobs, and America is built on economic progress. So six-figure jobs really allows people to step into that. So number one, we are in a position where we want to help as many people as we can. Of course, all people, but certainly our people of color. Number two, what I did as of last week after Mr. Floyd's unfortunate death, I leaped into action again, and I created a whole deck and a presentation that helps CEOs, HR managers, and executives have conversations around race in the workplace. And essentially, I'm giving it to all my friends across the world in a way to really help heal workplaces, because I think we can show up to work and we can turn it off. And, when I show up to work, I'm a different person. That's kind of what the last generation said. But the truth is, with Gen Xers like myself, millennials and Gen Z, you're bringing your whole self to work. So the things that you're seeing on the news and on social media, you're bringing those to work. And employers really don't have the privilege anymore to no longer address those things. So I wanted to give friends across the industry, both genders, all races, all religions, the opportunity to talk about race in a proactive way in the workplace from a place of healing, because once a workplace is then healed, we can be productive again. And really the nightmare that most CEOs and executives are feeling right now is like, shoot, there was COVID. Now there's civil unrest in America. How can we be productive and continue to grow the business? You can't put a Band-Aid over it. You got to heal first before you move forward.
So for people who want to have access to this presentation that you've created, or people who want to talk with you directly, how can people do that?
Contact me directly via LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to send any CEO, HR leader, executive, etc., the presentation for free, and then they can take it and run with it. I think it's an incredible opportunity right now to come together and again continue to heal workplaces and communities. So this presentation was a simple way to take it beyond the diversity inclusion conversation, but really get into the healing aspects of how do we talk about this, because it's far beyond policy or law. This is now just a conversation amongst human beings in a workplace.
And tell us a little bit about the event that people all across the world can participate in.
Yeah, so basically we call it a Ask Me Anything. And Ask Me Anything is going to be on June 25th. You can go to our website, getA6figurejob.com. We're going to be walking people through the myriad of confusion that is filing for unemployment, keeping unemployment, how to transition off of unemployment. How does that affect you if you're making side money? Unemployment is very confusing. So we're going to help people through the unemployment issue. And then we're going to do a resume workshop to help people understand the key points of what an effective resume is within understanding how the technology platforms work. Because it's not just aesthetic of a resume, it's how the algorithms are picking up your resume in LinkedIn and other platforms.
James, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm really excited. Thank you.